So if you're running anything serious on AWS, you already know that observability is absolutely non-negotiable. But what happens when the very tools you use to see what's going on start costing more than the services themselves? It's a massive challenge, and in this explainer, we are going to break down exactly how to get it under control.
I mean, let's be real. Have you ever opened your AWS bill, scrolled down to your CloudWatch costs, and just felt that little jolt of panic, that cold dread? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It's a feeling a lot of us architects and engineers know all too well.
And look, it can get out of hand fast. Just imagine seeing a bill for this, $45,000 in a single month, just for monitoring. And this isn't some crazy made-up number. For a big app, this is terrifyingly real. So the big question is, where on earth is all that money going?
All right, it is time to put on our detective hats. We're going to go on a hunt for the 3 biggest offenders that are just quietly draining your budget. Let's track them down, one by one.
First up to bat, high cardinality metrics. Oh, this is a classic. This is what happens when you decide to create a unique metric for every single user ID or session ID or maybe every request ID. You think you're getting amazing, granular detail, but what you're really doing is creating a tsunami of unique time series data. And guess what? AWS charges you for every single one. It is an incredibly expensive habit to get into.
Okay, our second culprit is a little more sneaky. Verbose production logs. Come on, we've all done it, right? You leave your logging levels set to debug to catch everything while you're developing. But if that little setting makes its way into production, well, you are now paying to ingest, process, and store gigabytes, maybe even terabytes of pure noise that you will almost never use to solve an actual incident.
And rounding out our top 3 is over-aggressive tracing. Now, don't get me wrong, tools like AWS X-Ray are fantastic for figuring out how your requests flow through your system, but the default settings often trick you into tracing everything. When you sample 100% of your requests, you generate a colossal amount of trace data, and your bill balloons right along with it.
Okay, so we've identified the bad guys. Now for the fun part, the solutions. And look, this is not about just turning things off and flying blind. No way. This is about being smarter, more intentional. So let's open up the playbook.
First, let's meet our secret weapon, the Embedded Metric Format, or EMF. Now, instead of firing off a metric directly to CloudWatch metrics, you just write a specially structured JSON log. CloudWatch is smart enough to see this special format, pull out the metric data for you automatically, and, here's the key part, it keeps all that rich context right there in the log. This is a total game changer.
This right here shows you why it's such a big deal. It's a fundamental shift in the cost model. With standard metrics, you pay per metric. With EMF, you just pay for log ingestion by the gigabyte. This means you can stuff all that high cardinality data, like user IDs, inside a log. You end up paying a tiny fraction of the cost, but you still have the power to query it when you actually need it. This is the heart of the whole strategy.
So here's our 3-step plan of attack. It's actually pretty simple. 1, for logs, be ruthless. Switch production over to info or even warn. You will immediately slash your ingestion volume. 2, for metrics, get smart. Use the expensive, standard metrics for broad, system-wide health checks, things with low cardinality. Everything else, shove it into EMF. And 3, for traces, be intelligent. Sample a small percentage of successful requests, but maybe crank it up to capture 100% of all your errors.
You know, this quote really just nails it. We have to change our whole mindset. More data isn't always better data. The real goal is to have the right context, the important stuff, ready to go when things break. It's not about hoarding every single byte of telemetry just in case.
Okay, so theory and strategy are great, but what actually happens when you put this playbook into action in the real world? Well, the results are pretty staggering, actually.
Remember that scary $45,000 a month bill we started with? Well, by applying these exact principles, tuning the logs, using EMF for all that high cardinality data, and sampling traces intelligently, that bill plummets to under $10,000. That is a massive, massive saving.
But hold on, I know what you're thinking. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? That's great, we saved a ton of money, but did we just blind ourselves? When the site goes down at 3 a.m., can we still fix it fast?
And here it is, the punchline. Mean time to resolution, the absolute gold standard for measuring incident response, it didn't get worse. It actually got a little bit better. And why? Well, think about it. Instead of drowning in a sea of noisy debug logs, your engineers now have high-context, actionable info logs and all that rich EMF data. It's less noise and more signal. This proves it. You can slash your costs and maintain or even improve your operational excellence.
So, to wrap everything up, let's distill this all down into 5 simple rules. Think of this as your new cost-aware design checklist for any service you build from now on.
Rule number 1, treat cost as a feature right from day one. Don't make it an afterthought. 2, tune those logging levels for every environment. Debug for dev, info for prod. It's simple. 3, embrace EMF for anything with high cardinality. It's your new best friend for cost control. Seriously. 4, sample your traces intelligently. Don't try to boil the ocean. And 5, and this is the big one, always measure the impact. If your cost cutting makes your resolution time skyrocket, you've gone too far.
And that brings us to the end, so I'm going to leave you with one final question to think about. After hearing all of this, what's the one log, the one metric, or the one tracing rule that you're going to go and change tomorrow?